Good evening, everybody. It's usually the mornings when I do my video, but it's evening now. You can see Mr. Furley in the background, and I just bought him some dog food and put it on that shelf, and he's kind of checking it out. He's just being nosy, actually. Anyway, I did a video earlier about National Heart Health Month. That's during the month of February, and everybody should wear red at some point. I'm even wearing my red glasses, as you can see. So I'm wearing my red. But they were talking on the news, and it was interesting. And I hadn't thought to put this in my last video, so I'll just do another video about it now. They was talking about symptoms of heart attacks being different for women than they are for men. And I know mine certainly was. So, as a matter of fact, when I had my first heart attack in 2008, I didn't even go to the doctor. But I knew something was wrong. But I had been perfectly healthy, the picture of health up to that point. And so, when it happened in 2008, I was at work and I got extremely dizzy just out of the blue. And I couldn't see anything. And my heart started beating real fast. And I became so weak I could barely stand up. So I sat down for probably about 30 minutes, and then I just said, I can't do this. I got to go home. And I came home, and so I knew something wasn't quite right because my heart was still pounding real fast. So I lay down on the couch as soon as I came in the door. I go to get my aspirin, and it was back in the bedroom. And I lay there for a long time thinking, how am I going to make it to the bedroom, because I was just that weak. I muddled through that time, though, thinking that maybe because after I went to sleep and I woke back up, my heart had calmed down, and I just felt real weak and tired. And for about a week, and I thought I had the flu. I know this was a heart attack because in 2010, when I had my next heart attack, when they did the EKG, they asked me, they said, well, when was your last heart attack? And I said, my last heart attack, and they could see, where I'd had a heart attack before. And that was the only time I'd ever felt that way. So that's how we discovered I had indeed had a heart attack in 2008. But my heart attack in 2010, we'd had a snowstorm. It was really bad that day. And I shoveled a lot of snow out of the driveway and off of the Jeep. And I think that's what brought it on, because I went to work. And all day during the day at work, I just felt weak, and my weakness was just growing. And by the time I left work, I didn't even stay for the whole day. I still had a little bit to do, and I'd asked this guy that I was working with if he could finish up, because I said, I'm not feeling good, and I've got to go. And he said he would finish up for me. So I came on home. I got home, snow had piled up in front of the door. I had to shovel a little bit of snow to get in the house. And by the time I got in, I couldn't breathe good. I was real short of breath and weak. I could barely stand. So I sat down on the couch. This is how weak I was, and I couldn't even get on Facebook. That's how weak I was. I couldn't even get on Facebook. I didn't even get online. And so I was hoping it would pass. The only way that I could catch a breath later on that night was to, I couldn't lay down. The only way I could breathe is if I sat on the edge of the couch and put my feet together Indian style in the floor and leaned forward on a pillow with my head on the coffee table. And so I did that to be able to catch some breath, because the weather was just so awful outside. And then I started having, again, like I said, weakness, heart palpitations, and I started having pain in this jaw. And that's when I knew for sure that I needed to call somebody. So Joe had called me to check on me. He was at work. He worked third shift. And then he called my daughter, and she came down here. And she called 911, and I was taken to the hospital. The last time, in October, I was at work, walking across the room, just like I am right now. And I had the blinding blindness hit me, and the dizziness, and my heart just went out of control. And again, I got so weak I could barely stand. And so I had to get Ethel to go up to the home and get a nurse. Several nurses came back. They did my blood pressure. They took my vitals and everything, and they had to call 911. 911 came and had to put me on a gurney and take me out. That was my third heart attack. So you see, everything that these heart attacks had in common with me was the heart just beating real fast. I think my heart, by the time the paramedics got there, my heart was still beating like 150 sometimes a minute. And like I said, that was out of the blue. I was not doing anything strenuous. The heart palpitations, the extreme weakness, and the one time I had the pain in the jaw. I never had pains go up my arm, like they say. I never had chest pains, none of that. I didn't have any of that. I think those symptoms, you know, were more or less for men. Men generally have those symptoms rather than women. Women's symptoms, you know, while you can still have those symptoms, of course, but my symptoms were just the shortness of breath, heart palpitations, and being weak. If you have any of these, do not mistake it for being the flu. Do not do that, because you will get yourself in trouble. And sometimes I wonder if I would be in the shape I'm in now had I gone to the doctor that first time instead of not going. And I'm sure it did some damage, because that's why they was able to see it 2 years later. But anyway, so those were my classic heart attack symptoms. I didn't have one of the Hollywood heart attacks where you grab your chest and you fall over. No, that didn't happen. So anyway, do take care of yourself. Sport some red sometime during this month. And until next time, bye-bye.